serious, what are some seemingly normal images with disturbing backstories? I know this thread is a little old now, but some morbid scrollers may find this fascinating. This photo is of Issei Sagawa, an actual cannibal from Japan. This photo was taken for a Japanese magazine after he was released from prison due to insanity. He was frequently on talk shows, reviewed restaurants for magazines and even appeared in horror films. He wrote a book on his murder of Renee Hartevelt, and you can read in explicit detail about how his mind conflated eating her to a romantic act. Note, it is not for the faint of heart, it will not leave you. Fuck, imagine this guy kills and eats your daughter and then becomes a celebrity because of it. I saw a documentary about him. He is from a very wealthy Japanese family and somehow they managed to get him released. Also they paid the victims' parents a big sum of money for their loss. Yeah, that's the world we live in. This picture of Russian ambassador to Turkey Andrei Karlov standing in an art gallery about to do a conference. Behind him is Mevlut Mertaltas, the man who is about to assassinate him. I clearly remember a few people including me watching a video of him getting shot in our classroom the next day. Mike Hawthorne and I were both celebrating with champagne after winning the 24 Hours Le Mans. Specifically the 1955 Le Mans, during which 84 people, mostly spectators, were killed in a crash. A crash which was at least partially caused by Hawthorne. Here's an old British Pathé News video about the race which includes footage of the crash. The announcer seemed so cheerful. Women and children are dying, whole families are wiped out. But most of the finishing cars were British, a fine achievement in this abhorrent tragedy. Here are over 100 pictures taken by serial killer Rodney Alcala, aka the dating game killer. Alcala would say he was a photographer and convinced people to model for him in remote locations. It is unknown how many people this man killed in his time as a serial killer. Any of these photos could be of people he killed. Dude. That's fucked up. And all of them look generally happy/pleased, makes me sad. Thanks for sharing though, I hope some of these people are found/identified. Last image of Thai diver Saman Kunan. He was transferring oxygen tanks for 12 boys and their coach, who were trapped in a cave. He got into difficulties and did not have enough air himself. He died after losing consciousness in one of the passageways. Now this is the face of a hero. Completely selfless sacrifice. Photo of downtown Manhattan seconds before the 9/11 terrorist attack. The artist Wolfgang Stahl was projecting a live recording of the Manhattan skyline as part of a gallery show the week of Sept 6, 2001. The artist's webcam observed the events of September 11th unfold in real time. Given the lo-fi quality of early webcams, his recording is a live feed of the 9/11 attacks in freeze frames. Stahl inadvertently captured the first plane crashing into the World Trade Center on his webcam. Hyperallergic, Stahl captured some of the only footage of the first plane. There's actually a video of the first plane to hit. A filmmaker was following the normal day in the life of some firefighters. This one. The picture was actually found on the camera of two vacationers who were swept away in the 2004 tsunami, which resulted in over 230,000 deaths. Wow, look how far back the water is. Like nature winding up for a big fucking punch. Ayano Tokumasu, a person in a red sweater in the background, lost her footing while posing for a picture and fell into Niagara Falls. That's why I tell myself and my family to not climb on top of anything while we are at a mountain or something. My brother likes to climb on top of fences and explore and it gives me the worst anxiety ever. Just the thought of him slipping while on mountain freaks me the fuck out. She appears to be on the other side of the wall. If you have ever been there you would know just how crazy that is. The water is just dripping by near the falls. I swam in a race 7 miles upstream from the falls where the current was supposedly a mere 3.5 knots. Luckily the race was across and downstream because it was mad strong. The pictures of the Dutch girls of Panama. girls got lost in the jungle and were for days. A few months later a backpack with the camera and these photos was found. Edit, since there seems to be some confusion. The link is to an image album with the photos, that also details the story in the description, not made by me. At first the photos are innocuous, just two girls on a trip. So I think it fits the ops request. And apparently issue with a foot in it and the pelvis of one of the girls. Sounds like they succumbed to the elements and were scavenged by animals. Truly horrible. The bridge guy. This is a photo still from a video taken by two girls out for a walk on the Monon High Bridge near Delphi, Indiana in February 2017. They were both found murdered the following day. This picture was recovered from one of the girls' cell phones. The man is presumed to have killed them but has never been found. Edit, link formatting. A family member of mine lives in the town and was actually out walking their dog on the trail about an hour before. Got questioned real thoroughly by the police. Creepier than the photos is the audio recording. The girls had the presence of mind to record. I presume there's a lot more to the recording than just that, but I doubt we'll ever find out. I remember reading about that a while back, and this case always gives me goosebumps. The girls did everything they could, photo, record, voice, but the murderer is still at large. It's quite sad. This picture taken of David A. Johnston 13 hours before the eruption of Mount St. Helens in 1980. His last words were over Radio Vancouver, "Vancouver, this is it," before going silent and his remains never found. I always thought his death had a certain poetry to it. He'd spent months convincing people that the mountain was dangerously close to erupting. He and his colleagues were taking turns camping out to observe it, and on his last night he swapped shifts with someone who wanted to attend a party. He was right about the eruption being imminent. He's the one who knew he couldn't escape, right? The top photo looks like a cop chillin'. It is a fake cop who, when photo taken, just got arrested after killing 77 people, among them approx 60 kids/teenagers, and injuring around 250 people. He set off a bomb in the city that killed 8 people and then went out to an island where a youth camp was held. He just started shooting. They were trapped on the island and had to swim to get off. Kids who didn't know who was shooting came to him for safety because he was dressed as a cop, and then he shot them. He also had his own manifesto for killing political enemies. The shooting happened at a political party's youth wing summer camp. These days he spends his days complaining how his human rights are infringed by being denied adequate pencils. It's the last picture taken of 18-year-old Jolie Callan by her ex-boyfriend before he shot her twice in the head and pushed her body off the cliff. The picture. Context. So, here is a man and a woman in the 1970s on a game show called The Dating Game. The smiling guy just won a date with the woman in the photo. That guy is serial killer Rodney Alcala. Cheryl Bradshaw, the woman, found him creepy after the cameras stopped rolling and refused to go on the date. Possibly saved her life. This pic of Travis Alexander taken by Jodi Arias the evening she murders him. Such a horrible story. This picture, and the other pictures, were actually taken seconds before she murdered him, and she even took some during and after. So sad. What's even worse is she was most likely holding a gun at this point and forcing him to pose for the camera. Frown. She's a whole different kind of evil. The photo of the Uruguay rugby team in the plane before takeoff. Article with photo. If you weren't forced to be traumatized reading this in high school, in 1972 a plane holding a rugby team and their family crashed in the Andes Mountains, and they were stuck there for months, forced to eat their dead family members, and other horrific things. They were also called monsters for doing what they could to survive after, some, returned to civilization. Edit, book called Alive. I watched a documentary on this and the survivors described it as sacred in the manner of taking communion. The 3 who finally left to get help had an arduous journey and wouldn't have made it without the calories. I went to a museum in Montevideo, Uruguay dedicated to the whole incident. It was a really well organized museum with a ton of artifacts recovered from it. It really covered other aspects of the whole story, like the farmer that found the two that went to get help. They have a statue dedicated to him. This picture from a hiking trip has an injured woman in the background. She and a friend had gone hiking and slipped off of a waterfall. Too injured to move, they were there for a day before being found. The woman in the photograph survived, but by the time they were rescued her friend was already dead. Reddit's thread about it here. Edit, as a lot of people are seeing this, please always take precautions when you're hiking, climbing, or otherwise going out into nature. Wear eye-catching clothing, take care around dangerous terrain, tell someone where you're going. Stay safe. Also, wording of the first line changed. God, it's lucky she had such bright hair. She otherwise really blends with the rocks, holy crap. All I see is a bloody rock, can someone help me? Subscribe for more hot Reddit takes in your inbox, guaranteed.